Welcome to Beyond Great Sex, the podcast that will revolutionize your sex life. I'm Morgan Horn. I'm a sex and intimacy coach, and I am going to give you the tools to create the mind blowing sex life that you've been craving. When you apply the teachings from this podcast, you will drop the shame, limiting beliefs, and everything else that has been keeping you from enjoying the intimacy that you were designed to experience. Instead, you will unleash your unlimited potential, sexual and beyond. When you work with me, great sex is only the beginning. We're going beyond. Hello, lovelies. How is it going? Today is going to be a really short one, and I hope that it's going to be enlightening for many of you, especially if you find yourself stuck in a place of not wanting sex, yet part of you wishes you did want sex for whatever reason, because society tells you you should want it, or perhaps to please your partner. I hear a lot of women say that they'd be fine never having sex again, including some of my clients who often initially seek my help because they're in a relationship that matters to them with someone who wants to have more sex, and they're afraid that if they don't start wanting sex soon, things won't work out between them. But if it were really up to them, they'd be okay never having sex again. And oftentimes, it all feels really heavy and complicated. There is shame that something is wrong with them for not wanting sex like anybody else does. There is pressure that their partner will leave or cheat because they're not satisfied. There is desperation from trying so hard to want sex and doing all the things they were told to do, but just not being able to feel that pull. There is fear that they might be broken beyond repair. There is anger for having to give yet another thing, as if everything else they're already doing for their partner and kids is not enough. Now I have to want sex too. And I could go on and on with an endless list of thoughts and feelings associated with this, but let me rather make it very simple for you. Have you ever thought that perhaps the sex you're having or were having is just not worth having, and that's why you don't want it? Let me say that again because I want it to really land with you. Have you ever thought that perhaps the sex you're having is just not worth having, and that's why you don't want it? You know, when someone tells me that they feel stuck and wished that sex wasn't an issue and that life could go on without having to want sex, what I usually do is I ask them to tell me more about the sex that they say they'd be fine never having again. And without surprise, what they describe is rather underwhelming. It's all very simple. If you're not liking the sex you're having, it makes absolute sense that you wouldn't want more of it. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not a dysfunction that needs to be fixed. If I were having the sex that you describe, I wouldn't want it either. And there can be a number of reasons why the sex is bad. It can be poor communication between partners, following the traditional script that allows men to have an orgasm, but where women are left wanting, a little bit of foreplay, penetration, boom, orgasm for him, sex ends, but she was barely getting started. Not knowing your turn-ons and turn-offs is another one. Not having the confidence to ask for what you want, feeling insecure in your body, struggling staying present and in the moment during sex, not feeling emotionally connected to your partner, difficult past experiences or trauma. And I could go on again in that list. And that's what we explore and figure out in coaching with my clients so that they can finally create a sex life worth having. So, what is sex worth having, you might ask? People will have different opinions on this. And I know that the information out there can be overwhelming and, quite frankly, annoying. There's always a new trend and someone who discovered yet another mind-blowing, life-changing thing or orgasm that you understand nothing about, right? What? You've never heard of cosmic orgasms? Seriously? Oh my God, you need to have one. And make sure you learn to squirt too, because squirting will change your life. I mean, Listen, I'm going to make it very simple again for you. Sex worth having is sex that you enjoy, sex that feels pleasurable. It doesn't matter what type of sex you're having, how often you have sex, or even how long it lasts, as long as all people involved enjoy it. As sex educator Emily Nagoski says, pleasure is the measure. If you're having fun, if you're enjoying yourself, if you feel pleasure, you're doing it right. And trust me, when you enjoy the sex you're having, when you are pleasured, you do not say you'd be happy never having sex again. In fact, the exact opposite happens. The more pleasure you feel, the more your body will ask for it. So, if you're currently feeling stuck, not wanting sex, but you wish you did, please get some help. Whether it be coaching or therapy, just don't stay stuck. Whatever the cause of your low or non existent libido is probably far simpler than you think it is. And I'm not saying it's always easy. It might require some work and commitment from you to access your desire, but it is not complicated. And more importantly, it is so worth it. Believe me, the reward is pleasure, so much pleasure. And connection with your partner, emotional intimacy, better sleep, better concentration, more creativity, lower levels of stress, and all that stuff. But just pleasure in itself makes the journey worth it. One thing I also wanted to mention is that you might have had great sex before. And so remembering how good it felt and knowing that you can have it again, because baby, trust me, you can. Great sex is accessible to anyone who wants it. Remembering the great sex you've had and trusting that you can have it again will help you in taking the decision to commit to exploring what got in the way of your pleasure and prioritizing your pleasure again. But perhaps you have never had pleasurable sex before, and you truly wonder if there isn't something inherently wrong with you. That used to be me, by the way. I had been in 3 relationships and the sex was pretty underwhelming in all 3 of them, not to say terrible. I cried myself to sleep so many times thinking that something was wrong with me. I had never felt much pleasure, never had an orgasm with any of the men I had been with, so it had to be me, right? Well, spoiler alert, it wasn't me. And by that, I mean that nothing was wrong with me. I just didn't know any of the stuff I know today, and I didn't have the tools that I now teach to my clients. So if that's you, I just want to reassure you that it doesn't matter how many sexual partners you've had, 1 or 200. If you've never had great sex, it still doesn't mean that something is wrong with you or that you're broken or beyond help. The reason why you've never had great sex remains a simple one, and we can figure this out together. Don't stay stuck. If you want sex, if you want to feel pleasure and enjoy the sex you're having, it is available to you. This is a promise I make you because I know it is possible for anyone who wants it. Now, if you're not having sex and it is not a source of pain and suffering for you, if you live a sex-free life and you're happy and fulfilled and it doesn't cause any stress to you or your relationship, that's absolutely fine too, by the way. I'm just talking to those who want sex and find themselves stuck. Okay, lovelies, I told you it would be a super short one today. Also, you won't hear from me for the next 2 weeks as I will be on holidays in the Canary Islands with my partner and my son. I considered bringing my laptop and recording my podcast there, but I'm practicing the art of letting go, enjoying guilt-free rest, and just being present in the moment with my family. I'll let you know how that went. Okay, I'll be back soon with a rested brain and more good stuff to share. See you then. Bye. If you have loved this episode, please add a rating, write a review, and share it around to help spread the word to all the women out there who need to hear this. I am so grateful for you listening. And if you are ready to take this work deeper, book your discovery session with me at www.morganehorn.com. That is morganehorn.com. We will explore any issue you would like help with, and you will learn all about my coaching program so you can get started on creating the sex life of your wildest dreams. I will see you there.